Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are joined today with Vance Williams. He is an investigator with the Gwinnett DA's office. Vance is a decorated police officer who joined the DA's office in January 2023 as a criminal investigator and has served in law enforcement for over 30 years. Vance, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So we wanted to have you on for this very important conversation because we're getting ready to start holiday shopping. Some folks have already started, and we wanted to talk about safety. How do we stay safe when we're out and about shopping, putting things in our cars, or just out and about in general? What are some things that we can look to do?
Well, we are in that time of year, as you said, and a lot of people will start shopping, doing your Christmas shopping, getting ready for 2024 to come in. And what I did was I put together 4 specific areas of personal safety that I'd like to discuss with you and your listeners today.
Okay.
And if I could, and I'd love for you to stop me and we can engage and we can talk about these things. No one likes to be a victim of crime.
Right.
And everyone, a lot of people have been victimized. A lot of people know people who have been victimized. I myself, my car was broken into when I was a teenager. I felt violated. Someone went through my car, through my glove compartment. They stole my little car stereo radio I had worked all summer for. And then as an adult, I actually had an apartment where a burglar climbed through an unlocked window. Very important that I say through an unlocked window, because I actually assisted that individual in coming in to burglarize my home.
We have to take some ownership.
I'm taking ownership. We have to take ownership of our actions, right? So what we want to talk about today first is let's talk about home. And let's look at, I want you to think of your home. I want you to think of the front facade of your house.
Okay.
As a person approaches your house, they normally will come to your door and they're going to ring the doorbell. Do you have a camera or a Ring doorbell device at your front door?
We do, yes.
You think that that's necessary?
I was going to ask,
because
is it a deterrent?
Right, because so let's talk about it. You know, I know Ring had that whole little lawsuit or whatever, correct me if I'm wrong and all that mess, but like that whole people when they hack into your system, like that's that element as well for those people who do not like that level of technology. Then second, the cost to have the internet, some people can't afford internet. So can we speak to both of those?
We can speak to that. But first, we're going to remember a rule. Okay. There's a rule that says when society builds a better mousetrap, evolution builds a better mouse. So nothing is ever 100% foolproof, nor will it always stay that way.
Okay.
Remember, we have a dynamic criminal element that is intent on taking the things that belong to you, whether it's stealing your identity or stealing your physical belongings.
Right.
The only thing a camera or a Ring doorbell will do is allow you to observe a person who is on your property in a semi-safe environment because you're not opening the door.
Right.
And in my generation, we loved the peephole. We had the little peephole in the middle of the door. You better not open that door. If my grandmother saw you open that door without looking out that peephole first, you were in big trouble. So the Ring camera and cameras at your door, at your entryways, and even in your backyard, they're a great deterrent. But just like you said, Kat, there are things that come along with having that level of technology.
Right.
Would we agree with that?
It is. And I do think that it's a great a tool, especially now you can sign a form and you can partner with your local officials, and now everybody's Ring camera can feed into your law enforcement. And so now we have a greater big brother watching, for lack of a better word, you know. So I think that's great with technology with that piece.
I love it because I actually have the Ring doorbell system. I'm not advocating for that system. It just happens to be the one that I have. And in my community, the entire community is on this system. Okay. So if a dog is missing, I'm alerted through the Ring system. If there's a suspicious person in the neighborhood, if porch pirates are stealing packages in the neighborhood.
On the rise too, isn't there? People stealing packages on the door, child.
Oh yeah. Well,
especially during the holiday season,
right?
All it takes is getting out the car, walking up to your front steps, and picking the box up. It doesn't get any better than that. Yeah. So now when you approach my door, immediately it alerts me. It alerts me on my smartwatch. It alerts me on my cell phone, and I'm able to say, "Can I help you?
Right?
Is there something that you need? Are you lost?
Get off my porch." Right?
Yeah, get off my porch.
That's right. Beat it. Or like that one citizen where the delivery person was pretending to put the package on the door and then take a picture of it and then put it back in the car and came back, and the person had their camera. I don't want to say Ring camera. It's almost like saying Kleenex, but you just mean facial tissue. But they had their camera, their security system, and they said, "Hey, put my package back on my porch."
Yes.
You know, so it has its purposes, its benefits. So
it has its benefits. Always lock up your home before leaving, and don't hide your keys outside the house. Everyone's familiar.
You mean that little rock don't work? That rock, that imitation rock with the keys in the inside.
It's people that still have that rock in their yard with the fake key in there, or the doormat. As a uniformed police officer, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people's keys or arrived at someone's house and their key to their front door was under their doormat.
Wow.
Do not do that.
I grew up in a neighborhood where like nobody did that. Nobody left that. Yeah, no.
That was my reality.
No. You know, grandma ain't play that either.
I know somebody to this day, who live in a community where they do not lock their doors. They literally, you know, and I just, you know, it's safe until it's not, right? So you don't want to be that person to find out that it's not safe. So yeah, we need to lock our doors. But sometimes you do want to feel safe, but you don't want to feel that comfortable. I mean, is it wrong? I mean, Vance, is it wrong to feel really safe that you just want to kind of woosah?
I think it's naive.
Well, so the Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? It is one of your inalienable rights. So you have a right to feel secure in your persons and in your home and in your belongings. But those are tenets that are practiced by law-abiding citizens. I don't think of schemes to steal from people. I don't think of schemes to break into your car. So that mentality is very much different from mine. I grew up, if I didn't have it, I didn't have it.
But you went to work for it and you earned it and all this other stuff. That's right. That's right.
That's the reason why I was so hurt when my little car stereo got stolen. I worked all summer for that car stereo, but it was a valuable lesson. And my grandmother said to me, didn't I tell you to keep your car locked when you came in at night? Because I didn't pay attention until I saw those wires hanging from up under the dashboard.
Right.
You see?
And you know, there are those of us that we do everything right and we still become a victim. You know, I remember my Nissan Sentra, black with the gold trim back in the day. It was a stick.
Nice.
Shout out to Nissan. Look. And I was going to work. I was in the military, and you know, we get up at dark 30.
Yes.
And
Thank you for your service.
oh, proud to serve.
Yes.
Thank you. And
What branch, by the way, Kat?
the best, the Army. What's up? Woo!
What?
Boy, are you a veteran too?
Oh yeah, I was a
Boy,
military policeman in the Army.
all right,
I did 4 years.
all right. Thank
Yes.
you for your service. We
Yeah,
really have to talk more,
absolutely.
educate folks.
Yes. I was in the late 80s, early 90s, and I was stationed in Germany when the Berlin Wall came down.
Wow.
Get
Yes.
out of here.
Yes. So we could have some great conversations.
Yes, we
Wow.
can. Did you get a piece of the wall, or is that appropriate?
Yes, we did. Matter of fact, people were selling pieces of the wall
Mm.
as
Wow.
big as you could carry it. And
Oh.
I actually went into East Germany when it
Mhm.
was still occupied.
Mm.
And so we went through Checkpoint Charlie. So I had a chance to
Mhm.
tour before the wall came down.
Okay.
And I was
Mhm.
lucky enough to be a part of that history as a
Mhm.
service member when the wall did come down. So I was
Okay.
I was active duty during that time too, but I did not get the chance to go to Germany. But yeah, and so I was in Savannah when my car was broken into on my way to work. And this is one of the reasons I don't do tent. So maybe you could speak to this, Vance, if it has any. My mind, the way my mind showed me was when a person breaks plain glass, it
Mhm.
shatters. But when you have tent, it sticks to the tent, and now they can fold it. That's how the person, they just shattered my glass enough, and they literally peeled it back like you would peel a banana. You didn't hear a thing.
Mm.
And they were able to
nice.
get in my car and keep going. And so I'm not a fan of the tent where you put the tent. Now they have windows that are made with tents. That's
Factory,
probably
yeah.
right, factory. So it may not be the same way. But my sweet little vehicle, my little Nissan Sentra with the gold package, had tent windows, and they used that to break into my vehicle, and it was like nothing. They just literally pulled the window down, got in my car, took all my stereo, the whole nine.
I'm not driving around Georgia without some tents on my window. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's a different, like the factory tent. Like, what do you? Is that any?
Well, there is a difference to me with factory tent and aftermarket.
Got
And
you.
during the time that you and I are talking about was when they used a very thick tint on the glass
Okay.
that would allow the glass to stick to it. A lot of tinted vehicle windows, they tend to bust the entire window now.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't have to deny yourself tint. You can get you some tint so your vehicle will be cool.
Stop riding around hot, sweaty.
So we've talked about home, making sure that you have making sure that you're locking your doors, locking windows, some basic things, having security cameras, and then locking your cars.
Correct. And something extremely important is don't let unknown people into your home. There's several scams that you can see on the internet where they use young females who will knock on your door in the middle of the night and say, hey, my vehicle broke down. Can I come inside and use your bathroom? We actually have surveillance of these types of crimes. And the young lady, unfortunately, was a decoy for the actual perpetrators to enter your residence. And as good people, the type of people we are, we want to help anybody. Our heart goes out to somebody, and we think of ourselves in that same situation. If my car broke down, I would love for somebody to let me in and say, sir, we'll just sit down on the sofa and have a cup of coffee as you await the tow truck. But we don't live in that type of world.
We don't.
So what I want to ask you to do is let the person know, hey, I'm calling law enforcement. They should be here momentarily. They have a great response time. What kind of vehicle are you driving? What's the license plate? Can you hold your driver's license up to my camera or my doorbell device so I can tell the police exactly who needs help?
Because your door should be closed and you need to be talking through a peephole. So don't open your door
I'm
no 2
talking
o'clock
through
in
my
the morning.
doorbell camera. You've never even seen me.
That
Yes,
I
a
never
good
thought
point,
about.
Karen.
I never thought about holding the ID up. That's a good idea.
Right,
That-
because it dispels a lot of your suspicions. A person who's not trying or who's not doing something of criminal in nature, they don't have an issue identifying themselves, especially if I'm asking you for help.
I'm asking you to get out your bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and call somebody to move.
Let me see your driver's license. And then this happened to my wife and I in a different county other than Gwinnett. We had a gentleman ring our doorbell at 2 o'clock in the morning saying that his iPhone, he had tracked his iPhone to our residence.
Oh, I did that.
You
Go
see?
ahead, tell your story, Vance.
That happened to a neighbor of ours.
So he rang the doorbell, and I'm the type of person, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I'm trained.
You're true to this.
I'm true to this. So, I spoke with the young man and I said, "Sir, your iPhone is not here." And he had another phone and he says, "No, it's showing right here." I said, "Sir, there's nothing in here for you." I said, "But now to help you, I'm going to go ahead and call the police and they'll be on their way." Well, we don't need the police. I need the police.
That's right.
And when he saw my wife dial the phone, ran out, got in the car and drove away.
I know that's right.
So that happened to my next door neighbor, right to the side of me. That it was a young man. We found out later he lives in our subdivision. That he tried to come up into their house saying that his iPhone was saying it was saying that his iPhone was at their house.
Yes. It's
and they were like, "No, partner.
Yeah,
there's nothing up in here."
It's a scam. And so what you want to try to do as a good Samaritan, a good person, you want to dispel any suspicion that you took their phone. And now you've just made yourself a victim of crime.
Yeah.
So please don't do that. Let the police come and help them find their iPhone. If you're going out of town, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kat. You had a question.
Yeah, let me just say my little 2 cents. Y'all know I'm running for office, and I was out knocking doors. I had my AirPods in my ear. Got all the way home while I was looking for my AirPods. So I turned on my locate my device. It was at the last location where I was canvassing.
Wow.
So kudos to these people with technology. They know how to do all this great stuff. So I literally came back, and thank God I had, my canvassing gear on and they recognized me and stuff. And it was at night. So I had my light on and they came outside looking. I said, "I'm so sorry, but my iPhone says that my AirPods are somewhere in front of your yard somewhere." And we were out talking and everything. And I guess at some point it had fallen out and stuff. So yeah. So it happened to me, and I genuinely was a nice person, and
but in that case, you actually had been there.
And thank God, I think that was to my benefit that they had seen me canvassing, knocking on my door, ready to vote for me. Hey, add that part.
There you go.
And when I came back, they was like, "Oh," and they came out. The kids was trying to help me find it and everything.
Oh, very nice, very nice. But and again, because those type of things happen. And we're good people. There's nothing nefarious about what we're doing. And you knew that your device was in that yard somewhere. But even with that, you didn't just come into somebody's yard and start rummaging. You identified yourself to the homeowner. And in essence, you're asking permission. Can I come on your property? Because here's what I'm trying to do. And here are the reasons why. And in that case, you would get me. I would open the door and come out and help you. And the other reason I'm talking to you through the
through the door. And I think distance. I think we were talking about that. For me, distance. So I'm a victim. I hate to say it a couple times, but at home I was robbed at gunpoint. And
you're a survivor.
Yes, sir.
Yes, she's
And
still
yes,
alive.
sir. Yeah. And that distance, like keeping your distance. So when we knock on doors and stuff, canvas and everything, I stay a distance. Like I may ring the doorbell, but then I'm coming back to the edge of the steps, or step down if it's a porch, or, I'm definitely more than double arm length away from the person that opens the door. And so for me, when you have proximity and somebody coming up on you, you need to be aware of your surroundings, because you can literally turn and put your purse down and look up. True story. And now you're looking down the barrel of a weapon. And and I'm like, where did this person come from?
Yes. Can I say this, Kat? In proximity and distance, if I can touch you, you're in danger.
Yeah, that's true.
So when I teach women's safety awareness classes, I normally arrive wherever I'm teaching prior to the beginning of the class. And I watch the people arrive. They don't know me. But what I do is I will look at you and I'll say, can you tell me what time it is? And I'll smile. Invariably, the person will look down at their watch and I'll step toward them within arm's reach. And so they look, some will be startled. They'll give me the time and they go into class. And when I would begin my class, I said, raise your hand if there was a man that asked you what time it was today. And they'll all raise their hand. I said, now look at my hand. Do I have a watch on? Why am I asking you what time it is? And if you noticed, what did I do when you looked down? You stepped close to me because I could put my hands on you.
Oh, wow.
And that's what the criminal element does. I said, now, unfortunately, again, I'm preying on you being a good person. I'm preying on you being a concerned citizen, a neighborly person. But what you really need to do is say, my watch doesn't work.
How about I say, you got to watch.
You got to watch. But what I'm going to tell you is, it don't work. It's just for show. And I'm going to keep eye contact with you, and I'm going to keep a safe distance from you, because my job is to keep myself safe.
As you say that, Vance, I thought about one way that attackers can get to you is when we're getting out of our cars, we're usually in a rush to go wherever it is that we're going. And so we're not cognizant of our surroundings. We get out the car, we just headed to the door wherever we're going. And we haven't paid attention to who else has gotten out the car, who's watching us, who might be in the next car,
who followed you there.
And so oftentimes as women, we're not cognizant of our surroundings to see who may be close, upon us to be able to harm us.
Absolutely.
I know sometimes when I'm rushing, I'm guilty of it.
Well, and again, we put ourselves in these situations. In 30 years of law enforcement, unfortunately, I've met many, many, many victims. And what I learned over the years was that people, if they're going to the grocery store, they drive straight from their house, straight into the parking lot at the grocery store. They're getting out their car. They're texting while they're walking. They're checking messages. And that element is watching you. A few years ago, one of the big problems at Phipps Plaza was the criminal element was staying in the parking lot. So people were coming out of the mall with huge purchases, and they were getting robbed in broad daylight. So for me, if I'm going to the same grocery store, I'm going to circle that parking lot. Normally I'll do once. Just based on the way I feel, I might do 2 or 3 times. And I'm looking for who is watching me. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone watching me and I was watching them. And they look for an easier target. They look for someone who is distracted.
Go ahead.
I remember years ago, I was a teenager, and
That was just yesterday.
and I
Wait a
used to
minute,
work
you're
at
not now?
and I was working at the grocery store, and I happened to be going to work. I had driven there, and I saw this young mom getting out of the car. So I parked on one side of her, and then as I was getting out of the car, I watched. I looked back because she was next to me, and I looked back. And I saw these young guys, and I happened to know who they were too. I saw these young guys riding slow in the parking lot, and I didn't get fully out the car. I turned around and I looked, and I just kind of watched them. Sure enough, as she's getting out the car, she's getting her kid out of the car seat, and she had her purse on her shoulder. Not
Sure.
She had the purse on the shoulder, and she's reaching in the back seat to, open up the back door to get the kid out the car, and she wasn't looking. And I saw the guy. I felt like it was gonna happen, and sure enough, he snatched her bag and got in the car and took off. I was like, know that buster.
Yeah.
And I think that if we all sit back, you can think of those maybe hopefully near misses and look at the things where you could have like done things differently, whatever. And I think it's imperative if we stop and think about it, we could prevent a lot of stuff ourselves.
Absolutely.
And support one another. Yeah. Because a lot of times, like even with our kids, and like I have my kids turn on your location on your phone when you're going out of town and you're doing stuff. You just being overbearing, or you just whatever, or call your girlfriends, let them know when you made it home, if it's late or whatnot, and being out in these streets like you're not supposed to canvas bite stuff and all this stuff. If we pay attention to these things, then we can help reduce a lot of stuff. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Vance, I don't know if this might be, well, we know it's no dumb question, only the question you don't ask. When you circle around the grocery store and you're looking for like that person watching you, like, it's not obvious. Help me get some cues.
It's obvious.
So like, but like, talk to me. I'm naive. I'm just, I'm the person that leaves my door unlocked. I'm the person that doesn't have the Ring camera. I'm the person that's on my phone, texting everywhere I go. What is it that I need to be looking for and to help improve what I'm doing to protect me and my loved ones?
So when I'm riding in that parking lot, I'm channeling my grandparents.
Okay.
Why are they standing there? My grandparents were nosy. They were going to peek out the window. They were going to look to see what you was doing at 1 o'clock. They were going to question things that were not of the norm.
Yeah.
So a person standing in a parking lot, nowhere near a vehicle, not moving toward the store, not moving toward a car, some would say that's a little bit suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, if he's standing and maybe they're smoking a cigarette or doing whatever, and it may alleviate my suspicion, but I'm going to pull into the parking space and I'm going to continue to watch. Because you'll get that feeling, like you said, Karen, I know something is going on. I just don't know what's going on. Let me sit here so that I can figure it out. And so many times I've even interacted in my civilian capacity with the criminal element, and they'll see me watching and they'll say, oh, I wasn't going to try to rob you. You see, because I'm looking right at you.
That's a deterrent too, to look like. So I run and exercise. So when somebody comes past me, I do this. I might still be jogging, but I'm like,
correct,
until I get a distance because I don't want them to pivot and attack me from behind.
That's beautiful. You said that, because I talked about people who are exercising. Don't do it at night. Don't be off the beaten path or in a place with a lot of bushes. You want to go somewhere that's well lit. I tell a lot of people, malls are the greatest place in the world to get in there and get your exercise, especially during the winter months when it gets darker earlier.
Right.
Pull up to the mall, do a couple of laps around inside the mall, walk around the mall, get your steps in. You can still exercise, and you're not in a park in the pitch black darkness and potentially exposing yourself to being a victim.
That used to be
We want you to be safe.
Out in the park or the mall?
Out in the park. I used to go walking in the park up the street from my house at like 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Because like no one else was there, and it was, you know, just to start my day.
Right.
And I never thought, and I also used to walk walk up and down in the community, outside of the subdivision. I used to do that at like 5:30 in the morning. And then one morning my mom said, "You ain't scared to be out there by yourself?" I was like, "Well, I wasn't until you said something." And it got in my head. And then I got afraid to walk. You know.
Did you ever carry anything? No mace, no stick, no taser?
See,
So
there you go.
I
What's
would
a
have
good
my
deterrent?
Yeah.
I would have my keys with me. I've been given mace before,
Switchblade.
but I always end up misplacing it because you know you can't take it into the courthouse.
Right.
So I always would end up misplacing it because I would have to end up taking it off my keychain.
You know what you can take?
What's that?
A whistle.
So
remember those loud whistles?
Yeah. So speak to that. I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry, because that whole whistle thing. I mean, I don't want to say like whistle. Is it a good whistle, or should you say fire? Like, what's going to get people to? Because we're so tuned out to when people scream for help, folks just kind of look. I mean, literally, you have people that'll just walk past something or snatch their phone out to record it before they even try to.
That's true. Help.
You know, so that dynamic, Cat, is called social proofing. And what social proofing is we look to other people to do something. It's the reason in law enforcement we're trained. If I'm administering CPR to you, I'm going to look at another person and say, "You go call 911."
Okay. Okay.
Because I have to tell them what to do so that they know that it's acceptable. I show a video presentation. 60 Minutes did an experiment where people walked past a man or women laying on the ground outside of a railroad station, and no one would help until one person stops, and then suddenly
other people will stop.
Acceptable for other people to stop. So what I'm trying to do is condition yourself that you're going to be that person whose behavior is going to be slightly different from the group. And that's what we teach in active shooter. I don't need you to stand there and say, "Was that a gunshot? Was that, what should I do?" I need you to get in motion. I need you to already know your plan. So we're going to overcome social proofing because we'll be that first person to act.
Okay, got it. So when we hear that noise, you say, "Is that Karen blowing that dang whistle?"
She'll just be blowing a whistle.
Right. But yeah, I work out at dark 30 just because the longer you go and it's hot or cold, I want to start early. And I know that it's dark, but I do have mace, I do have a stick, and I do have, as it continues to go up. But like I was saying, I want things that's going to keep a person away from me versus, you know, those batons that you can pull out, but it's only the length of your arm and the baton. And I still may have a 7-foot person coming to me. I don't want you to be close because you may overpower me.
Correct.
So how do we make sure that what are some things that you recommend that we have when we're out trying to exercise or walk our dogs or just, you know, hang out with our family and friends?
Just living our innocent lives.
Yes,
absolutely. Right. Well, I want you to be cognizant. We use this word earlier in the program. I want you to observe your surroundings. I want you to make sure that they're safe, because no, there's no 100%, way to never become a victim. What we're trying to do is reduce the chances of being victimized. So to take a friend and have a cell phone and walk, there you go. It's perfect, because you can do the buddy system. Remember, we were in the military. We
Yes,
had
couldn't
our
go
battle
anywhere
buddy
without
with
your
us.
buddy.
You didn't go anywhere without your buddy.
Yep.
And you want to be able to have something that's a deterrent, and it's based upon your skill level. Of course, as a veteran, you've been trained in different techniques and combat techniques. So to a lay person who doesn't have that mindset, I might go into a pepper spray or go into mace, or even Axon sells a personal taser. It deploys. It's on the expensive side, but it deploys one time. It is designed to incapacitate an assaulter and give you the opportunity to run away. So you just have to look for those things that are going to fit who you are, and your lifestyle and what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Because you're protecting yourself and your family.
Do we have self-defense classes? Do you offer any of that, or have any recommendations?
So the thing that I tell people about self-defense is, if you're only going to do it once every 5 years, how effective is it going to be if you're in a situation where your life is counting on that physical ability?
And trying to remember what you learned.
Trying to remember, because you're going to revert back to instincts. I'm a defensive tactics instructor. So a lot of times I will get asked to come to a class and teach people techniques. And I go and I say, I'm going to teach you the greatest technique of all time. And it is to use the gray matter between your ears and outsmart situations, because you'll never be the strongest. You'll never be the fastest. You'll never be the most aggressive, but you can be the most thoughtful. You can be the most observant, and you can always have a plan as to what you're going to do if that situation occurs.
That's good. That's good. Because this might be way off too, but I feel like it's sharpening. Like when we have firearms, those people who have firearms, you're supposed to go constantly be trained, constantly know how to clean it, constantly know how to use it safely, put safeguards on and all that stuff. To me, if you're going to learn how to prepare yourself for, criminal element, somebody trying to rob you or burglarize you or assault you, you need to sharpen those skills too. I think that we should make that a conversation so we can be aware of what's going on, because as we age, a lot of elderly get taken advantage of, but they forget to think about that type of stuff. But if we constantly have this in the front of our head, now I'm not saying that they're going to come out and do jujitsu, but if we start thinking about those things that we need to make sure, like you said, the cameras and the space around us and driving around and paying attention around you, putting your purse crossbody instead of on your shoulder, these small things. But this is something we need to constantly do, men and women.
Absolutely.
Another question, are we the most ones to be victimized, or is it kind of leveling out, or how's the statistics?
So it depends upon the type of crimes that you're talking about. But you hit on something so specific and near and dear to my heart. So I've been a firearms instructor for about 15 years. And I always get asked the question about whether or not a person should own a gun, or, I'll have people approach me in training and they'll say, well, Vance, I own a gun. And I say, okay, where's it at? Oh, it's at home in the closet, in the box that it came in. And I said, okay, well, how will that help you right now? There is no timeout. Let me go and do this.
Yeah.
So if you're coming up with a deterrent, you've got to be proficient with it. You've got to be knowledgeable of it. And you have to have the mindset as to whether or not you're a person capable of utilizing it. I've had students who said, I don't think I could ever shoot anyone. And that's fine. Everyone is not built the same. How are you built? what is going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's design something that is specific and tailor-made to who you are.
Running for me. Run, Forrest.
No, I definitely think I could shoot somebody if I had to, if my life depended upon it.
Right, protecting you and your family.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh, absolutely. But what I know about me, though, and I need to get firearms training, but what I know about me is that my initial reaction is that I freeze.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's normal though, huh? Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you something that you'll love. Do you remember Man on Fire, Denzel Washington?
Oh, yes. Oh, when he was teaching her to jump in the pool. Yep.
Remember, he would fire the starter pistol and she would freeze, and then he said, we're going to teach you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And he took them bricks and he rubbed them together. He said, you're waiting for the sound to release you. And so it was the training. You can train yourself out of being a person who freezes.
I need that training.
We all do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Years ago, everything happened years ago. I was probably about
life.
11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was out. It was night, but my dad was out and somebody had come into our home.
Wow.
And I saw him. There was 2 beds in my room. And I saw him jump on my second bed, push out the screen, and jump out my window. And I sat up in the bed and I'm looking straight at this person. He didn't see me. I saw him. And I reckoned it was somebody from my neighborhood too. But my father came home, startled him, and that's when he ran out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I couldn't even scream. Like, I opened my mouth to scream and nothing came out.
I bet you that was frightful for you though.
It was just like,
it was, there's only so much your mind can absorb when there's something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
When I teach at a church and I tell them, if you have an active shooter, your parishioners have never seen a person walk in that church with a shotgun. So in their mind, they're going to, is this real? Is this really happening? Am I imagining this? So again, with training, you can overcome that curve through training where instantaneous, this is real. This is what I need to be doing. I'm just happy that that person decided to leave instead of to harm anybody in your home.
That's right.
And then he came back like 2 weeks later, stole my dad's car, stole my mom's purse. And we knew it was the same one because he was caught shortly thereafter having robbed some other people's homes and stealing cars. And he ended up getting, this was
years ago.
He ended up getting 30-something years. He just got out.
Oh, wow.
He just got out last year.
Wow. Hopefully he learned his lesson.
He was a teenager.
Yeah, that sounds like a
Hopefully he learned his lesson. But the other thing that you talk about with being in the home, I want to remind you of something. No one knows your home like you do.
Right.
If I have a intruder come into my home, I'm going to turn the lights out. I can walk through my house in the dark.
Yeah.
Because I know where everything is.
Yep.
If you're an intruder, you don't know where everything is in my home.
I agree with you. And at some point, there's one piece that helped me. One thing that I get mad about was that the developers, all these houses are cookie cutter and they are the exact same. So it's almost as if, correct. So it's almost if you have that criminal element that's like, oh, we didn't knock down 4 or 5 of the same houses, same models. They kind of know how to finagle around. You understand what I'm saying? So that piece right there, I get it. It's almost like you want to leave a big, huge piece of furniture in the middle so they just trip over, you know what I'm saying, or something, so that they wouldn't know how to navigate in your home. But when you have all of these new developments, they have like 2 or 3 plans,
right,
that
correct,
make up
correct,
this entire, X amount of home subdivision. So how
correct,
do
correct. There you go. That's nothing is 100%.
right, right.
But
Nothing
I
is
like that
100%.
idea, turning off if
Make
somebody's
sure
in your house, make sure the lights are
you
off.
got that
Well,
right.
now, but Karen, I'm going to turn out the lights in mine because I have several deterrents I intend to use.
Ah.
So I practice my plan with my family. We've been doing these drills for 30 years.
Okay.
Everyone knows where they're going, and and it is sad that this is the world that
That
as
we
it
live
is,
in.
but there's the world as it is, and there's the world as it should be.
Right.
And in the world as it should be, people shouldn't take things from people that don't belong to them.
That's right.
But we
What
need to
is
live
it?
in a balance. We need to be realistic enough to know that this is going on,
Right.
and we need to know what we're going to do about it if we encounter that situation.
And I think it's fair enough to say, to incorporate it like you would if you had a fire escape plan in your home, just like we need to, practice tornadoes and hurricanes and so forth. We need to incorporate this type of training. And what I wanted to ask you is, what do you recommend for us to, get the center blocks and get that off of us? How
So
often?
one of the things I'm going to provide, I'll send to Karen tomorrow, is just a list of some safety and crime prevention tips.
Oh, good.
Okay.
They're very generic. It's something that you can put out, and people just need to absorb it. And you can get better at these things. For years, I used to go to the ATM at night, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then when I finally figured out that there's a lot of criminal activity that happens at the ATM, go to the bank and get your money during the day. If you don't have a strong defensive posture, try to fill up your car during the day when there's
I don't get gas at night.
Exactly. So see, you've already incorporated some things that reduce the risk of you being a victim, because you're not going to get robbed at the gas station at night, because that's not in your repertoire. You see? And we need to build a repertoire where we don't do things that expose us and make us unsafe.
Yeah.
And keep your gas full so you won't be running to the gas station.
Fill that gas tank up. You should have filled it up before today when they canceled the gas tax.
All right.
I know that's right. So you're going to leave us a bunch of tips that we can give our listeners. And that's going to be really good, because we like to empower folks. And I'm all about making sure that we are safe.
Yes.
We keep each other safe. And then we grow and learn, because iron sharpens iron. We need to be able to do that and look out for one another. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's okay to be nosy.
It's okay.
To be observant. Be observant.
All right. That's a nice word. We're going to say this, nosy. It's okay to comment like, girl, who is that in your front yard? Girl, I don't know what that car is. And it's
Look
okay.
out for your neighbors.
Sometimes you can be to the point where it can be offensive. What you doing in my neighborhood? Who are you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just moved here. I do live here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that may happen. So we do need to make sure that we're respectful. I don't know, how's the balance of that? You know what I'm saying?
So there's a way that everything can be done tactfully, right?
There is a way.
And so instead of saying, "Oh, you don't look like you belong here," just be like, "Hey, we've had some things happen in the neighborhood. Do you mind? Are you here to see any one of my neighbors? Are you?"
How would you go about that, Vance? Because I wouldn't want, like, I like doing neighborhood watches, and then you do neighborhood, get-togethers at the cul-de-sac or whatever, so you can know your neighbors. But how do you approach somebody, if you approach somebody, to say, how you doing?
Maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, like what do we do, Vance? That's the question.
There's an old formula for this, and it's called the golden rule. If you treat people the way that you would want to be treated, reverse the role in your mind. How would you want somebody to approach you? And if you're not engaged in criminal activity, then what you gave that other individual was respect. You know, the neighborhood I live in now, when we came to see the house, we pulled in front of a neighbor's yard. He came out, he approached and he waved, and I let down the window and he said, "Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? We're doing pretty good. Well, I live here with my family. Is there anything going on? Any way I can help you?" And I said, "We're actually waiting for our real estate agent to show us this house." And he says, "Well, I hope you buy it. Love to have you as a neighbor." And he turned around and he went back in the house.
Okay.
He is my next door neighbor right now.
Okay. So I can't say, "Hey, chick, what you doing in front of my house?"
No. No.
What you doing?
I never bought the house then, so
Yeah.
but it worked out just because he gave me the respect that I didn't mind telling him what we were doing.
Yeah.
Did I have to tell him? Absolutely not. Is the street in front of his house his property? Absolutely not. But because he was respectful to me, I was respectful to him.
That's good.
So I think that if somebody was out in front of my house or near my house and I didn't recognize the car, I probably would go out there with my dog, like I was walking my dog, and just kind of observe. I don't know if I would say anything to the person, particularly if I was home by myself or something like that. But I would be out there with the dog and kind of walk around in the cul-de-sac and just kind of like, okay, we're home. We see you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've done it once. It was a person who actually was having car trouble, and I asked if I can call anybody on their behalf and let them know. But I did go in the house and bring them some water. Their car overheated, and they had the jug, so I was able to put some water in the jugs or whatnot. So yeah, you're right. Just ask people with some respect, because you don't ever want to disrespect anybody.
Absolutely,
that's never my intention.
So, Vance, what's the most important thing you think you could leave us with?
What's the tea league? Go ahead. Look.
As far as safety, being safe during this holiday season and beyond just the holiday season, what's the most important thing that you could a nugget that you could leave us with?
If you don't know something, become informed on the subject. Watch Karen and Kat when they talk about safety prevention and safety awareness tips, because it's going to inform you and make you a better person, and it's going to make you safer. Seek out the information and become wiser on what you're dealing with. Don't stick your head in the sand like an ostrich. You know, so many people tell me, "Well, I don't watch the news. The news is so depressing." You need to know what's going on around you.
Yeah,
that's right.
You need to be informed. Yes, there's a lot of disinformation out there, but there's also a lot of great information out there. And we've been doing that for about the last 30, 40 minutes or so.
Yes.
Sure have.
That's some good advice right there. Educate yourself and do not put your head in the sand. That is so important, because they turn a blind eye and act like it doesn't happen until it's at your front door. So we are strong as a community when we help one another.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Put your head in the sand, all you get is worms anyway.
Hello. Look, before we let you go, tell everybody, what do you do to maintain your mental wellness? You know, mental health is big on our platform, and we want to break the stigma surrounding mental health. So can you share with our listeners, with the man of your experience over 30 years in law enforcement, what do you do to maintain your mental wellness?
Well, so one of the things, and I've sat on a few panels, I believe in mental health. When you go get a physical, you're looking to see if there's anything wrong or anything you need to adjust. You need a mental health physical as well. And sometimes that's just sitting down with someone who can't discuss what you say to them with anyone else and putting it out there on the table just so you can hear what it sounds like. I believe in therapy. I love it. As a law enforcement officer, I've seen things that human beings are not supposed to see. And I didn't have a problem at all going and sitting down with my therapist and saying, we need to talk. Close the door. We need to talk. Right. And so you have to have a good work-life balance.
Yes.
Things are overwhelming you. Go sit down and talk to a trained professional. It'll be the best thing that you ever did. It will help you. It'll help you be better to yourself and your family and ultimately your community around you.
Amen. Well said. Yeah. I know. Boom, drop the mic.
Because that right there was the final word.
That's right.
Thank you, Vance Williams. If anyone wants to get in contact with you so that they can learn more about the program that you offer on safety awareness, safety tips, how can they get in contact with you?
So I'm on MySpace. Let me write go ahead and write my MySpace address down.
Did you say
he did? Wait.
My wife hates that joke. I think it's a fantastic joke. Anything I can do, you can reach me at vancarlton16@gmail.com. That's VANCARLTON 16@gmail.com. If you have a church organization that you want me to come and speak to, if you have a group of individuals who want to live safer in our communities, you can reach out to me. It's free of charge. I'm a servant of my community, and I love making people have more enriching and fulfilling lives.
Amen.
All right.
Thank you.
And you can reach Van at vancarlton16@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Vance. We really appreciate you coming on and providing us with this valuable information.
Yes, empowering us so we can take care of ourselves and our community.
Yeah. As always, to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat,
where we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.